Well, good afternoon to you on this Thursday for this edition of First Alert Weather Extra. Overall, today's weather, exactly what we've seen all week long, and tomorrow it's likely to be another repeat. But that's where the similarities will end, is tomorrow. Tomorrow's probably the last day that we're just talking about it being warm, breezy, and humid with no other weather concerns. Because going into the weekend, I'm hopeful, optimistic that we see at least some rain around southwest Louisiana, though I do want to also admit there are still some questions and some uncertainty in that part of the forecast, at least on the timing of the rain. I think no doubt we see at least some rain at some point over the weekend, but it's not likely to be a complete washout. I'll explain more here in a moment, but currently, again, you can see outside partly cloudy skies, winds out of a southerly direction 10 to 15, even gusting to near 20 miles per hour at times. Temperatures still in the upper 70s, even some lower 80s across the area. Currently, a look at the visible satellite looks like this. There's not a whole lot to see, just these little tiny cloud streets. That's these clouds lined up in lines. They do that because the winds come in off the Gulf, bring the moisture over the land. The land is warmer than the water, so the air rises and causes condensation to develop, hence clouds, and they form these little lines that we call cloud streets. Always interesting to see those showing up, but again, those are not the type to produce rain. Here's a look at the radar locally. Nothing going on here. Just like yesterday, there are some showers over southeastern Louisiana, even into portions of the Atchafalaya Basin. There have been some showers around the area, as you can see, even toward the north. All of that is false echoes showing up on the radar. But yeah, definitely a kind of a warm, humid day across southwest Louisiana today. We'll turn the radar off here real quick and show you what else is going on across the area. We'll kind of go back here into time. One other noteworthy thing happened today was, there was an earthquake that happened up in northern Louisiana earlier this morning, just south of the Shreveport area. An earthquake reported up there. Actually, the strongest earthquake on land in Louisiana. Back in '06, there was another earthquake that occurred offshore that was a little stronger. This one rated at 4.9 on the Richter scale. Shaking was felt all the way up toward the I-20 corridor and maybe as far south as into Vernon Parish early this morning. But again, no reports of any issues with that. So let's talk about our forecast for our Friday here. As far as the weather is concerned, as you can see, overnight tonight, it's going to look much like the last few nights. Temperatures gradually falling, probably fog, especially south of the Intracoastal Waterway going into the offshore waters will likely deal with fog. That means those of you near the coast probably see fog. Otherwise, temperatures to start off our Friday morning, just like the last several days, mid, maybe upper 60s for morning lows. Looking ahead into the day on your Friday, the similarities to what we've seen all week continue. Low 80s for afternoon highs. At this point, I think rain is fairly limited, but I will add that there could be one or two showers. You can see Futurecast here on the right side is showing some rain well east of here during the day. That's kind of what's happened yesterday and even today. And then the model tries to show a few showers here in southwest Louisiana very late in the afternoon into the evening. Fingers crossed that happens. We need rain. I realize the timing is not as convenient for some of you with this going into the weekend, but again, please know that we need the rain at this point, and anytime, really any time of the year, if you're trying to do things outdoors, you should always have an indoor alternative in case there is rain. And I've told you that all week, that even though I was keeping rain chances low, that it would be a good idea to have an indoor alternative. So let's talk about this forecast. As it's still a challenge, complicated and very uncertain. And then the uncertainty lies around what happens with this cold front that you can see by tomorrow is approaching the Dallas area and then slows down, maybe not even getting to Shreveport by Saturday afternoon, late in the afternoon. That means the best chance for rain is likely to stay well north of our area through Saturday afternoon. But there's a caveat here, two of them actually. One, that there still may be some scattered showers on Saturday just because the daytime heating may be enough to produce showers. The other issue if the front moves farther south than expected, that would definitely mean a better chance for rain here in southwest Louisiana. So continue to monitor our forecast for updates, though I like the trend I see so far from the bulk of the models. That would likely bode well for most outdoor events. But again, please make sure you have an indoor alternative in case. We'll look through time here on Saturday with our Futurecast computer model, which can now see all of Saturday, which does not show a lot of rain. Again, a few spotty showers here and there. That's probably about it through the day, provided the front stays far enough away. Cannot stress this enough. If this front is farther south, that brings all of that area of rain you can see at the very top of the screen across southwest Louisiana earlier in the day on Saturday. But models, we'll see if they remain consistent through tomorrow on this idea of the bulk of the rain staying out of the area during the day Saturday. Now, as we go into the evening, I think our rain chances will begin to increase as moisture associated with that front gets a little closer to us and likely means a little better chance for rain going into the overnight hours Saturday night into Sunday. And as I always say, if it's going to rain, let's let it happen in the overnight hours because, one, most of us are asleep, so the impacts to us are more limited, and it soaks into the ground even easier than it would during the day. Obviously, it is dry, so the ground's going to take the rain regardless, but if it comes during the day and the sun comes back out, it can evaporate some of that before it can soak in. So having it in the overnight hours is good. The other issue here is we will have to watch for the potential for any stronger storms in the mix here. That too kind of depends on where this front is and how strong it is, how close it is to our area. If the model's right, the front stays well to our north, that probably keeps the greatest threat of severe weather to our north as well. But the Storm Prediction Center has included portions of southwest Louisiana in a slight risk of some stronger storms Saturday into Saturday night if the front gets this far south. The greatest risk from those type of storms looks to be damaging winds. At this point, this does not look to be a repeat of the storms we saw on Valentine's night, though I should also caution this time of the year, storms can quickly turn strong to severe, especially in setups where it doesn't look like the threat's going to be all that high. And that's a weird one to forecast, but simply put, I don't think all the ingredients for severe weather will be here. Part of them will be. Sometimes storms can overcome some of those negatives or lacking factors and still become strong to severe. But it's not always the case. That's why I can't say, yes, we could see strong to severe weather. That's why I'm telling you it's not impossible. Make sure you have our First Alert weather app downloaded on your smartphone. You may be watching this on your app already. Hopefully you are watching it on our First Alert weather app. If so, if you don't have our weather app, simply go to your app store, search KPLC Weather, download it, and make sure your notifications are turned on for the weather app. And if you want to limit some of them, I know if you have our weather app, you may get a lot of notifications about precipitations being detected or lightnings being detected. You can go in and turn those individual notifications off. But I would encourage you to at least leave severe thunderstorm and tornado warnings on. That way you would get notifications at least about those sort of products. And one other note, if you do have our app and going into the settings on this, make sure you have the location set to follow you. The reason why, no matter where you are, where the phone is at technically, you would get notifications for the weather at that location, because odds are, if you have your phone with you, that's where you need to know more about the weather, not tying it directly to a specific location. If you've been in our app before on that, you can set a specific location, meaning you can type in, say, DeQuincy, and set the location only to work for DeQuincy no matter where you are. That's not really a good idea, because unless you're not leaving DeQuincy at all, you would miss notifications, say, if you traveled to Cameron or to Fort Polk or even farther away, if you went to Atlanta. Our app works anywhere in the country, so please leave those notifications set to follow you as far as your location is concerned. Let's go on into Sunday here, where I think Sunday is probably our better chance for rain, simply because that front may be inching farther south. And models do show some stronger storms trying to come in on Sunday. The Storm Prediction Center actually does not have any risk of severe weather in play for Sunday yet. That's a trend we'll continue to monitor as well. But again, I think it's prudent to at least plan on some storms around on Sunday. The front begins to dissipate on Monday, but behind it another front, and this one is going to be stronger. It's going to have a little bit more setup behind it that's going to favor showers and thunderstorms, maybe even a better risk of severe weather. And better, I mean a greater chance of seeing severe weather. Of course, no one wants severe weather, but the setup may favor stronger storms Wednesday or Thursday. Models have actually slowed down by about 24 hours with the timing of that front. We'll see if that's a trend that holds, but the models have been pretty consistent that there is a front in the middle of next week that brings a drop in temperatures. And you can see that here on the 10-day forecast. And yes, I went ahead and included a 40% chance for rain both Wednesday and Thursday of next week because of the potential slowdown of that front. I've also increased the chance for rain for Saturday and Sunday of this weekend, and may increase the rain chance for Sunday even further, depending on how things go over the next 24 hours. Of course, I'll have an update on that for you tomorrow. But one thing that's not changing until that second front arrives is the warm weather. It is going to remain warm and humid, but yes, late next week, I think we will see a drop in temperatures, maybe even going into next weekend with temperatures back closer to where they're supposed to be. Quick look at our marine forecast before we wrap things up. Not a bad boating day tomorrow. Likely a little breezy southeast winds 10 to 15 knots. Likely some fog really at any time out over the Gulf waters for sure. As far as hunting and fishing times are concerned, best times looks to be around 3 in the afternoon. Good time around 8 o'clock in the morning. Sunrise 6:32 tomorrow morning. Sunset 6:15 tomorrow. But remember, daylight saving time comes to an end Saturday night. That means the clocks spring forward. They go ahead 1 hour. That also means sunrise will be in the 7:30 hour Sunday morning, and especially Monday morning for your commute back to work and school. But on the positive, it also means sunset will be an hour later, which will now be into the 7 o'clock hour. And we're, of course, gaining daylight hours as well. The number of minutes of daylight continue to increase with every single day as we grow closer and closer towards summer. But we're not quite there yet, even with the 80s on the 10-day forecast for the next several days. So if you got those weekend plans, once again, just have an indoor alternative. But I don't think it's a complete washout either of the 2 weekend days. Well, that will conclude things for this edition of First Alert Weather Extra. I'll be back here tomorrow afternoon with another look, and we'll be diving deeper into that forecast into the weekend. We'll also see if I need to raise those rain chances on Sunday, which might happen. We'll talk more about that coming up tomorrow. But that will conclude things. We'll send you back to your regular programming here on our streaming devices. Have a great evening.